Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a really simple soup base that you can modify with all kinds of extra added flavors, and this is just a lovely, very fall-friendly type of dinner or side. This is a pumpkin apple soup. 3 ingredients. A pumpkin of your choosing. I'm using pie pumpkins in this, but I've used squash and white pumpkins, and they all work differently and give slightly different flavors. Apples. Granny Smith and Fuji work really well depending on the type of flavor you want. And a broth. If you want this to be a vegan recipe, use veggie broth. You're going to de-seed, slice the pumpkin, and then cover it with kosher salt and toss it. And then you're going to put it onto a greased baking sheet with any additional flavoring elements you want to include. When you have it in the oven at 350, you're going to just let it sit there and do its thing. This is an optional stage where I'm going to add flavoring to the beef broth that I used for this recipe. And there's a list of ingredients that I put in here in the video's description because this really turned out well and tasted like an adobo chicken that you would get on the streets of Mexico. Here are the apples. I'm just going to cut the sides off and then cut the spears. And then those apples are going to go onto a baking tray and be roasted as well. Halfway through the roast of your pumpkins, you want to flip them over. Then when they're done, which looks like this, those are some pretty good looking pumpkins, you're going to take those out and put the apples in their place. Here you can see what those pumpkins look like when they're finished. We're going to put the apples in, and they're going to roast down there. They only need about 10 or 12 minutes, so while they roast, I'm going to take the skins off the pumpkins. The pumpkin meat goes into the soup. The skins I'm going to cut into small pieces, run them in the dehydrator, and those become dog treats. And so I'm not wasting anything. Once the apples have roasted, I'm going to put them in the broiler. I'm going to mix the broth with the pumpkins, and this is what the apples should look like when they are nice and roasted and broiled. And then I'm going to try to blend. Why is this not blending? And oh, that's why. After I plug the blender in, I'm going to blend everything together, and I know it does not look that appealing, but believe me, that tastes really good. So you can modify it however you want. I cooked up some sausages and sliced them to put into the soup as well to make this a nice, hearty, meaty soup. So it's pumpkin, apple, and sausage. Really delightful combination. And let's see how it tastes. So I did kind of spoil it in that it tastes like adobo chicken, those bright red chickens that street vendors make on the streets of Mexico. And yes, my dog really, really, really wanted to try this, but no, there's garlic and there's onions. You can't have it. So with the sausage, it had this really nice texture, and the soup portion was also just lovely with a little bit of latent heat.